With the FCC vote to kill net neutrality set for tomorrow, a huge majority of Americans say that they do not want that plan to go forward. They actually do want to keep net neutrality. They do not want to end Title II regulations of ISPs. Now, these regulations say that ISPs should be considered common carriers, and as such, are not allowed to slow down, throttle, or block any sort of content on the web. They should treat everything on the internet, every website, all the information the same. Now, it looks like a majority of Americans agree with that, even Republicans. More than 80% of voters oppose the Federal Communications Commission's plan to repeal net neutrality rules, according to a new poll from the University of Maryland's Program for Public Consultation. So that's interesting, right? Now, the survey, how they asked the question is that they presented respondents with detailed arguments from both supporters and opponents of the repeal plan before asking them where they stood on the rules. It found that 83% overall favored keeping the FCC rules, and that included 75% of Republicans, 89% of Democrats, and 86% of independents. This is an issue that goes way beyond party affiliation, right? Conservatives, turns out they love their internet too. They don't actually want to pay more for internet access. That makes all the sense in the world, okay? So this has extremely strong majority support. These Obama-era regulations, right? Again, you've got Republicans that are in favor of Obama-era regulations. Now, I know Ajit Pai, however, and the rest of the Republicans, politicians, save for a few, at least, that are calling to protect these Title II regulations, are, for the most part, parroting talking points from the industry. But again, the voters, they're not buying these talking points. According to Stephen Kull, the director of the university program, saying in a statement about the poll, a decision to repeal net neutrality would be tacking against the strong headwinds of public opinion, blowing in the opposite direction. So, but the thing is, do they care? No, I don't believe they care at all. That's the problem. Pai and the Republican-appointed commissions don't work for the public. They work for the donors that they serve. Now, the Hill notes that when the repeal plan goes into effect, internet providers will no longer be prohibited from engaging in discriminatory practices, but the FCC will require them to be transparent about how they handle web traffic. So basically, if they eliminate these rules, all the ISPs have to do is be transparent about how they're going to fuck us over. Well, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that what you voted for? Isn't that what you thought would make America great again? Now, the survey, which was published on Monday and reported earlier by the Washington Post, who asked respondents what they thought of each argument, overall, 48% of all voters found the argument to repeal the rules convincing, and 51% of them found it unconvincing. Now, of course, our arguments include, we're going to innovate, and that these rules are stopping us from innovation. What are we going to do about that? They also make a ridiculous argument on if we repeal these regulations that keep all internet traffic treated equally, right? That's going to create economic growth and jobs. No, there's no proof of that. There's no evidence of that. In fact, repealing the regulations will actually lead to the opposite of that. These companies that are multi-billion-dollar ISPs that are also telecommunications companies, so they own TV and internet, they have no reason to innovate because they have basically regional monopolies or duopolies, right? So in certain areas, you can only get one or two providers with broadband. That's it. Why would they need to innovate when they have no competition? It doesn't make any sense. All they do is sit back and they raise their rates continuously, and that's it. They don't need to innovate. That's the problem. They don't have competition. They need competition. And repealing the rules would actually allow them more control over the internet, which will help them crush their competition. These ISPs, as I said, they're enormous telecom companies with stake in television, so they can go after competitors that are actually hurting their television business. People like, or companies like Netflix and Hulu. So, and if you give them that power, they're going to use that power, and we're going to end up paying more for it. They're not going to play fair. All these promises by the companies, by Comcast and Ajit Pai, are bullshit. Comcast said, oh, we're not going to throttle, we're not going to block, we're not going to do the fast lanes. What are they doing? They're actually working on enacting internet fast lanes. So they're, again, already going back on their promises. Why remove the rules? Banning you from doing something if you don't plan on actually breaking those rules. If you don't actually plan on doing it. Why spend all that money? Why put out all those, put all those lobbyists in Congress? Why? Because you plan on doing it. And these commissioners that are siding with Pai, that are Republican appointed, they're going to kill net neutrality because they don't care about consumers. All they want to do is they want to give the corporations more power to crush you. Now, tomorrow is a vote. I hope that they actually do the right thing. But again, when you follow the money, as I have, and you look at the power the telecom industry has over Pai and these Republican commissioners, even against their own voters, then I think the end of net neutrality is what we're going to end up seeing tomorrow. Now, if that leads to something better, like more municipal internet, I'm in favor of at least fighting for that. But I think the internet as we know it at this point is doomed. I hate to say it, but I think we're going to be in real trouble.